What's up, everybody? And welcome to the Blacksmith Podcast, where we forge men from metal, metal into men. I'm your host, Will B. Thank you for joining me today. If this is your first time here, welcome. Welcome to the Blacksmith Podcast. Get ready to be wild and amazed, if I do say so myself, and I do. If you are a return guest, then welcome back. Now, on the last episode of the Blacksmith Podcast, we talked about how your race has started, right? Made the NASCAR analogy for when you turn 18, everybody starts racing around the track as fast as they can, trying to go to college, get certifications, get the best job, climb the social economic ladder. And then you have these guys sitting here at the start line just spinning their wheels. They sound good. They look good. They're telling people all the right stuff. I'm going to get this degree. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to start this job. I'm going to do this. And they're sitting at home still, right? And I had posed a question before that: is potential good or bad? And I know a lot of people will rush to say, oh, potential's phenomenal. Not when everybody else is going and they're 30 years old and they're still sitting at the starting line. Potential is very devastating then, or it means nothing. No one cares anymore, right? So, in keeping with the tune that your race has started, we are going to, I'm going to give some actionable advice here that you can take, and it will help you jam on that gas pedal where you start to roll around that track and get faster and faster, and then where you're actually catching up and competing. Now, if you're not yet 18, you can take this advice early. If you are 18, hey, your race just started. If you're 38, it's never too late. I did not mean for that to rhyme, but let's go. All right. So we're going to talk about something called the basics, right? What are the basics? Um, there are things that a man needs to have in order to claim or say that he has his stuff together, right? You don't have your stuff together, and I'm going to add to this list, okay? This is not an all encompassing list. If I leave some stuff out, and tell me what you think in the comments, because I may go ahead and add some more stuff into the list. Um, but we'll see. I love to parlay or debate or whatever. But anyway, let's get right to it. So, number one, a hard skill, right? You need to have a hard skill. What is a hard skill? A hard skill is pretty much defined as technical expertise, like something you need to go to school or course in order to achieve some kind of certification or uh, something technical, right? So if you wanted to be an engineer, you need to go to college in order to grab at least a bachelor's degree, right? 120 credits, 4 years of school. Um, so that degree is a hard skill, right? Something you earned over time by going through courses or whatever. Usually it's not free, right? So then you also have certifications. So let me start with the degree here. So if you look this up statistically, if you have a degree, you have more earning potential than someone who doesn't. Point blank, period. So if you never wanted to go to college and that's not for you, it's not the only way forward, but it is a good indicator of somebody who can earn more money. Now, do we have people graduating college left and right and not working in the career fields that they got a degree to do? Yes. Yes, that is the case. That does happen. So one of the reasons for that is I always tell I always tell young guys, like, before you go into something, have an exit plan. before you go to college, know what you're going for and what's your exit plan. You're going to graduate your degree, but what's the end goal? To get a job in that field? Then you should have already looked up that field prior to even applying to college for that career field to know what kinds of companies, what companies are hiring in this career field, what kinds of what who needs these people, what is the salary range, um, is it an open field? Is it a growing field? Is it a closed field? Is it a dying field? So you need to ask those questions long before you apply to college, right? And a lot of times we don't do that, so we wind up going to school for something in humanities that is flooded, flooded with women too. Women go into a lot of humanities, sociology, psychology, a lot of social work, things of that nature. So you have to look and see, don't just listen to a commercial that said it was in demand. Actually go and do some oppo research and figure out, is the job really in demand? All right, the career field, I should say. So, sorry, I got another screen over here, and I pulled up some information on here, um, so I could give you all the best examples and whatnot. So, the definition of hard skills I got here is technical skills that need uh, to be performed in order to do a job or land a new one. But I just gave some examples. So, another type of hard skills is certification. Now, certification, you don't necessarily have to go to school. So, I'll give an example here. A certification can be something like Security Plus, right? If you are in the IT field or the um, cybersecurity field, you can get a certification called Security Plus, or Sec Plus as they call it. And there are a couple different sites where you can go to get these. There's like Udemy, there's GSEC. I only know this because my best friend is in cybersecurity, and that's what he does. So that's something else, pardon me, that you can do in order to ensure you can get hired and stack your resume, right? So Sec Plus, um, you can get them in wireless. What is it? WANs, LANs, printers. There's all kinds of things you can get certifications for. So you just need to research it. So in a nutshell, a certification, you can go to one of those websites and apply for that certification, and there's a book that you're gonna have to buy, and there's a whole packet, and there may be some labs in there that you have to do, and or some hands-on kind of things, and you basically study it, right? Take notes, create you like a database of questions or whatever, and you take the test. You pass the test, and guess what? You are now certified to do whatever it is you just took the test to do. And you can build up certifications like that. You can build up, like, you can get a degree in information systems technology and cybersecurity, or you can grab certs. Um, you can do both, but really, if money is an issue, if time is an issue, then go the cert route. You can get a job uh, faster than waiting 4 years for a degree. So those are hard skills. Okay. Moving on. We'll talk more about that later. I think I spent enough time on that one. Now let's talk about some soft skills. Now there were quite a few on the soft skills that I pulled up. So let me go here. So soft skills are non-technical skills that describe how you work and interact with others. And a couple examples I'm going to pull up here. You won't see this on your screen, but I'll see it on mine. So, people skills, integrity, teamwork, creativity, organization, empathy. It's not really tangible things, right? Um, let's see, communication, creativity, innovation. Yeah, not really tangible stuff, but things that you can add, not well, yeah, you can add it to a resume. You can show how you had made it work at your last job, especially stuff like teamwork, communication. You can show that on a resume, and it also helps the team when you bring these things to the team. It helps a workplace when you bring these kind of things to it. So soft skills, get more people skills, learn how to communicate better, read a book, read a self-help book. You can read books on soft skills, you can watch YouTube videos on these things, but these are things that you actually need to try to practice, right? If this isn't you, like if you're not great at communication, you can read books on communication, you can talk to more people on communication, you can, whatever it is you're weak on concerning communication, you can actually work on it. So have someone who's great at communication analyze you and tell you where you're weak. Maybe you listen too much and you don't talk enough. You don't give enough, especially when it's like a group activity, right? On the other hand, maybe all you do is talk and you don't listen. If there's only someone sending and there's a receiver, but there's no switching of the change of the guard, like you're now receiving and they're sending, it's not a conversation, you're just talking, and a lot of people do that and they don't recognize that's not a conversation, it's just you yapping. you know some people love to talk, they have a lot to say and they want to get it off of their chest, but it's not really communication. um anyway, so those are soft skills. All right, so that was number one. Number two is soft skills. Three, financial literacy, right? Financial literacy. Now, what am I talking here? Now, this one, I'm gonna have to break these down in another episode and go deeper into them, do a deep dive into them, give some examples of these things. But financial literacy, there's a lot to say here, folks. First and foremost, let's talk about pay yourself first. Pay yourself first. And what I find is a lot of times people weren't taught financial literacy by their parents, and they don't really go on a quest to learn it either. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, you live like everybody else, indebted to banks and lenders. And why would you want to do that? If you haven't turned 18 yet, you better listen up. And if you just turned 18, I hope you just, I'm not even Catholic. I hope you haven't gone and done the fool yet. Financial literacy. So let's get into it. Pay yourself first. What am I talking about? Look, folks, make a budget. Okay, make a budget. You need to know what you gross and what you net. If you're not familiar with these terms, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Get a notebook, um, put it in your phone, start creating a list of like financial literacy terms. You're going to need this the rest of your life. Start getting smart on this stuff, right? What you gross is take your dollar amount, $20 an hour, and you work 40 hours a week, right? So you just take that and bam, $800 a week, right? And so times 52 weeks. So if you do that, let me get this. Y'all ain't gonna be laughing at me. Here we go. 52 times 800, 41,600. See, I would have just said 40 grand, right? But if we're talking about financial literacy, let's get the actual numbers. Pretty much you could just, what I just do is kind of double it. If you make $10 an hour, that's about 20 grand a year. But I actually think it's like 19,900 or something like that. Anyway, so with that being said, you that's what you gross every year, right? Gross is pre-tax. So it's the total amount you make before taxes are taken out. Net is what gets deposited into your bank account every week or every 2 weeks, every month, however you get paid. Every day you might be doing something shady. I'm just playing. No, I'm actually not. But I don't know the nature of people's jobs. I'm just kidding. Overall, I'm kidding. So okay. So financial literacy. So out of that 41,600, who knows what you might get paid? Let's say you only bring home 30 G's, right? What are you doing with that 30 G's? So about 30% of your paycheck is usually where you live, right? So that means you be paying about 10 grand of your paycheck to um, live in an apartment, house, or wherever, right? I don't know where you're living for 10 grand a year, but I'm just saying, let's just go with it, right? What are you doing with the other 20 grand? So I can tell if I come to your house, I can tell. I'm gonna do a deep dive into this one too. All of these, I can tell what you spend your money on if I look in your driveway or your garage, if you have one, or your parking space, whatever. If I look in your closet, if I look at your wardrobe and I look in your driveway, I could tell what you spend your money on. Maybe even your living room too. If I see stacks of DVDs and video games and systems everywhere, I know what's up. Um, but pay yourself first. Let's talk savings. What are you putting away for an emergency fund, right? Retirement. Do you have a 403b, a 401k? Do you have a TSP, a thrift savings plan? Do you have a retirement fund? And do you know why you even need one? Do you plan on working till you die? Well, if not, you need a retirement plan. Also, investments. We're going to talk about investments. To put it simply, you need to see every one of your dollars as an employee. And if you just have all your money in a savings account, they're all in the break room around the water jug, sipping on water, not doing anything. In order to put them to work, you need to invest them. And there's different ways you can do it: stock market, mutual funds, money market accounts, saving CDs. It's basically putting those dollars to work to make more employees. Does that make sense? In a sense, that's what they're doing. Um, so that's financial literacy. Now let's talk credit. Number four, credit. Okay, this one is so important. I mean, all of these are, right? If you know anything about anything, these are just basic things that a man needs to know. When you hit 18, you're not going to know everything, but by God, if you knew these things that I'm about to tell you, you will be so far ahead of sometimes even 30-year-olds. They ain't figured it out yet. You'll be so far ahead of your generation, it'd be insane. You would start that NASCAR race with a V6 and you're under your hood on your way, make a turboed or supercharged V6, right? So credit. What are we talking about? Let's talk about some basic things about credit. What's a bureau? What's a credit bureau? You should know this, right? There are three credit bureaus, right? There's TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. Let me see what a credit bureau is defined as, because I don't know the definition. A company that collects information related to the credit ratings of individuals and makes it available to credit card companies, financial institutions, lenders, etc. There you go. That's what a credit bureau is, and there's three of them: TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. Okay. Um, Not every lender uses the same. Not every lender reports to all three or uses the same bureaus. We'll deal with that later. Deep dive, right? Stay tuned. Blacksmith Podcast. Okay. And then the other thing is, what is 35, 30, 15, 10, 10? That is the percentage of what makes up your credit score, right? Um, so you need to know this. Let me see if I can get the breakdown. All right. So here we go. So 35% of your credit score is going to be your payment history. So whether you were on time or not, that's all that is. 30 is the total amount of debt you have. 15 is the length of credit history. 10, 10, new credit history and types of credit used. So revolving credit, installment loans. What does that even mean? Revolving credit, it's going to be credit cards, right? Installment loans is going to be a house or a car, something like that. Something that the total amount is already known, and they break it up into different payments or installment payments, right? So you already know what your payment is going to be uh, every month. Revolving credit is, it's not up on the screen. Revolving credit is an open-ended credit. So a credit card is the best. I already said it, but that's the best case scenario because you could pay it off and then use it again, and then pay it off and then use it again, or keep paying the minimum, and the minimum payment will keep going higher. So the the minimum payment is not set. It's not an installment loan. All right, that's credit. Number five, your career or your job. There's a difference between a job and a career. So I'll tell you now. I didn't come up with this, but a lot of people in the financial literacy arena. My shirt keeps slipping. A lot of people in the financial literacy arena will say a job stands for just over broke, right? A lot of times jobs are dead end. They're not going anywhere, right? And it is your responsibility to know that. It is no one else's responsibility. Once you're grown, you're grown. I mean, if you're a parent, understand that it is your responsibility to parent your children even after they're grown. And I know a lot of people are like, they're out of my hands. I've done my job, but did you really do your job if your kid doesn't know what I'm talking about right now? If your adult child doesn't know what I'm talking about right now, I don't think you got them to 18, but are they ready for the world? That's what you have to understand. And I mean, I'm not going to tell people what to do, but I don't know how we do things over here is we want our children to be better than we were. Thus, they need to know this stuff by the time they're 18. They got to start learning now because there's a lot to learn. But okay, so if you have a career, what's the difference? In a job, you're getting paid hourly. A lot of times the upward mobility is not really there, and even if there's a lot of lateral movement. Like, let's look at a restaurant, right, or a fast food joint. You're on the register. Now you're at the drive-through window. Now you're on the fries. You're on the lettuce coming to America, right? You're on buns or whatever. That's a lot of lateral movement, right? But where the real movement comes in is if you move up to a shift supervisor, or if you move up to assistant manager, district manager, and then you move into executive. Now, typically, to move that high, you're going to have a degree. So again, a hard skill, and it takes a lot of soft skills to move up to these positions. What I'm talking about, you have to be great at communication and stuff. So you need to take a look at that list, and go down. What are soft skills? What do you need to equip yourself with? Look, if this is an RPG, this is a video game. If you're Batman, you need a lot of stuff in your utility belt for you. Well, I won't call you nerds. I mean, I know I am, but whatever. If that's your thing, I should just say that. However, you have to look at it. you need to equip yourself with a lot of tools. Um, Careers typically are salary and they have upward mobility. The salaries pretty tend to be pretty competitive, higher than average, right? And there's always a corporate opening and things of that nature. They have their position names are different: junior associate, senior associate, vice president. It's more, I guess that's really the difference. We'll do a deep dive on that too. And the last one, time management. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, out of everything I've talked about, hear me when I say time management is the most important one. I don't care if you had everything else and you had no time management, you have nothing. Because to get your foot in the door to a career, you need time management. You got to be punctual. If you are going to get that hard skill, you got to turn your work in on time. Once it's past the due date, it's a zero, or they take points off. Um, Time management. Time management is literally going to set the pace for you for any and everything you do. And I'm going to do a deep dive into time management. I have a whole series and called 57 that I'm going to share with you, and we're just going to do a deep dive into time management. But that's it, folks. That's the basics, okay? And you need to be smart on these in order to say, I got my stuff together. If you don't have these, then you don't have your stuff together, okay? Let's go through them again: hard skill, soft skill, financial literacy, credit, your career or your job, and time management. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you like this kind of content, hit that like button to raise it up in the algorithm so it can help someone else. If you think it's important, you think it's that important, hit that like button. Help brother out. Also, if you know someone directly that this can help, hit the share button and give it to them. And listen, the younger the better, because we need to start educating as young as possible on this stuff. This is really basic stuff. There's no reason we should be learning this at 40, except we didn't get taught by our parents and we just happen to stumble upon it or something like that. But it's really basic. I mean, if this were martial arts, a lot of us are out here trying to throw Bruce Lee cross kicks, roundhouses, and we don't even know balance yet. How does that work? Right? You throw a roundhouse kick and you haven't learned balance in a fight and you get stomped out because you fell on the ground. Makes no sense, right? I don't know, fight analogy. I don't know. I use a lot of analogies when I'm teaching people things. So just bear with me. And the last thing is hit that subscribe button. Oh, last thing is you can follow me on any of the social medias. Let's see. I got them up on the tabs on the top of my other screen here. So uh, let's see. TikTok, fan base, IG, Facebook, and Threads at the Blacksmith Podcast. And on X, somebody had that handle. So I am at Blacksmith Pod. Okay. And that's it. I'll see you again on another one.